So today, I'm going to do a modification on my bike that you should probably do with the camera not on, but instead we're gonna make a video out of it. This is something that you shouldn't do to your bike. But if you decide you want to, I'll teach you how. And I'll teach you why. And you're probably wondering why I'm holding a drill. I'm gonna drill a hole in my bike. I'm then going to take my cranks out. No, I'm gonna take my cranks out first. I'm gonna put this in there, and then I'm going to put a bolt through that hole. It's going to push on this. It's going to put some friction on my spindle so that when you try to do tailwhips on your trail bike, you don't spin the cranks and bruise your heel like I did last time. Oh! Oh! Crap. Yeah, I'm good. Shoot, I wish I didn't stomp my heel. So I built this bike up in an older video, and the purpose of that bike build was to create like a trickable trail bike, a trail bike that was like the big brother of a slope bike. You can still take it for a trail ride, dropper post, whole lot of gears, but you could do a bar spins and tail ups on and everything. So if you're gonna just take one bike somewhere, it would be the bike. So now it's been a few months and this bike is great for bar spinning and everything, but I haven't tried to do a tail up on it again since I hurt my heel. And I've tailed big bikes before, but for some reason this one, I've like, you know, it's like when you touch the pot and it burns you, you don't touch the pot again for a little while until you become dumb again. So this is a little modification to, in my head, make me feel like next time I try to tail up this big trail bike, it's going to work. Let's put the bike on the stand. All right, so I've got to jump down the street too, or I don't have a jump. I have identified a pile of mulch down the street, and I have all those MTB hopper ramps in the garage. So I'm gonna try to bring one of those MTB hopper ramps to the pile of mulch. And so hopefully if I can get this friction device in here, so this bike is a little bit more tail whip friendly, then I can get over there with the ramp and try to tail up into that mulch a couple times. If I mess up, probably won't get as hurt as I did last time because it'll be soft wood chips. Try to do it all before I have to go pick my daughter up from school. You know, it seems like a crazy idea, but like, all these frames, I've got holes in the bottom bracket. It's such a good little trick. Like, the good thing about the bolt, the tension bolt, is unlike wrapping it with, you know, rubber or pipe hose clamps and stuff like that, and just like, you know, putting tape around it to make a friction device, which like, it's always going to have friction then, and it's hard to take it off. This one, if you wanna like go do a tail whip or a trick where you're worried about your cranks moving, you just tighten it up. And if you want to go do crank flips, you just loosen it off. So yeah, you have to drill a hole in your frame, and that's scary to do. It feels weird taking a drill to your bike. It's pretty sweet to have that option. And don't forget to loosen it before you go on a long trail ride, because I've done that. And when we did the slope durocross challenge, remember, I forgot, or I just like left it tight because I was going to try to do a flip whip. And then I was like just dying the whole time trying to pedal with all that friction. But the cool thing is it already comes with that little hole right there, and I don't know what that's for, maybe for the water to drain out or something like that. But that's a nice little pilot hole. It makes it feel like a little less sketchy because you can like have a little bit of a guide there. But I'm doing it with the 9mm, what do you call this thing? Drill bit. And then for that you use the 6mm by 1, so 6mm by 1 tap. And then you can just use bolts that you have laying around all over the place, like the bolt that holds your brake caliper on. It's the same bolt that you have laying around in your garage. You got 1,000 of them. If you do the number 9 drill bit, and then the 1 is the thread count, thread pitch or whatever. So you match it up and it's perfect. Number 9 drill bit and the 6mm by 1 tap, then you can use all these bolts you got laying around here. So I'm like just dilly-dallying here. I should just get to it and drill the hole. So I got one side of the press fit bottom bracket out. Now I got enough space to put one of these things in. This is just like it's like a pipe. I think this is like vinyl or something. We tried a bunch of different things over the years, and some things just like the screw just goes through it and it doesn't work. These things it's hard enough, whatever this material is. It's like slippery enough. It's like probably the material that like BMX pegs are, the ones that aren't metal, you know? These are all ones I've just taken out of old frames, you know? And if I wanted to use a different one, each one of those has a little bit different one inside. The older ones don't really work though, because it was like trial and error. I looked, and that one, that white and yellow 2009 frame is the first year we started doing it. I'm pretty sure this was a Kyle Strait trick. I think he was the first one to start drilling holes in his BB when he was competing in slopestyle. And man, I want to say maybe even Ryan Palmer was his mechanic at the time. He's the guy, you've probably seen his name in like Bike Mag and stuff. And I think he's the guy who came up with this. When we saw that, everybody was like, oh, that's the way to do it. We're gonna do that now instead of just like tying duct tape and rags and all kinds of weird, I've done it with a diaper before. And this is way better. And I think it was Ryan Palmer. I'm gonna have to ask him if he's the one who invented this. But ever since, it's like, this is the way to do it now. But you just put that in, and oh yeah, you gotta take this out first though, the little piece that comes with your cranks, which, I don't know, I'm sure it does something. It's not gonna help us now. So we put this in here, and that's what the bolt is going to push on, and it'll just sit right in there. I just wanted to make sure this one fit. So yeah, that's gonna be perfect. Boom, we're gonna be ready to rock. Showing people how to do this, it kind of reminds me of like the feeling I had the other day when somebody commented, do how to backflip how to, and I was like, oh God, like we can do that. That would be sweet. But everybody has to promise to not try it on a jump first.
We can put a warning title up or something. At your own risk.
There's nothing much left to do now except for just to do it, I think. Feels so wrong. Okay, here we go. We want it just like, does that look like a nice angle? Pretty good, huh? Didn't have to make it that much bigger. Good, 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 good. I'm happy with how that went. Now we gotta tap it. Tap it in. Tap it in.
I thought it was a big build-up for something simple.
Yeah, it's not that big of a deal. Whoa, you can drill a hole in your bike. That's horrible. Why would you do that? There's already a hole. You just make it a little bit bigger and then tap it. You're good. Then you can tail up all day without having to worry about your cranks spinning all around.
What's the trick with the tap? What are you trying to do?
I was like trying to find this piece of paper I have that tells me, and then I figured I would just do what I think I remember it being. It's like a whole turn and then a half back, or a 3/4 turn and then a quarter back or something. All I remember is that you turn it in a little bit and then you turn it back out a little bit and then you do it again. So for this one, that happens to be an M6 by 1.0. 6 refers to the size of the bolt, 1.0 refers to the thread pattern, because some threads can be finer or coarser than other threads. If you have the wrong thread pattern, then you're gonna try to screw it in. Even if it's the right size bolt for the right size hole, it's not gonna work. You just hold your bolt up to it, make sure those settle nicely in together. You can't see any light through them, then you know you got the right one. And after all this talking about that's how you do it, let's hope that I did it right. Let's see if this bolt goes in there. That's great, that's gonna be great. This bike is now going to be so much easier to tail whip, and I'm so excited about it. This is part of the reason why I went aluminum with this frame also. Partially because I wanted it to just be kind of a thrash around bike. I didn't have to worry about, cracking or denting the carbon. And then other one was I knew this was going to be a bike I wanted to tail whip. And I've had carbon frames in the past that I've really wanted to put a friction device in, but you're not really going to just go and drill and tap into carbon. And with an aluminum frame, they're cheaper too, Save yourself some coin, be able to chuck it around a little bit. Then if you wanted to drill and tap the BB, you can. This worked out great. As a safety net, I used a smaller size drill bit and tap that would work with these like easier to find smaller bolts, but I had a backup plan. If I totally mess it up, I had another bolt and a bigger drill bit and bigger tap. I was just gonna keep, trying until I got something that worked. But this works. Now I'm gonna put everything back together, and then we're gonna bring the ramp over to the little pile of mulch. And we gotta put this BB back in. I'm less of a caveman these days than you would think. I'm actually gonna use a proper press instead of the mallet. Impressive. Oh dude, this is going great. Something's bound to go wrong soon. This is all going far too well. So this whole little day we have planned here, it really reminds me of when Jamie Goldman and I, we learned our first backflips. We had a ramp that we were using in the pool jump, which was a jump into the swimming pool at my parents' house. We were like 16, 17, something like that. But we went to a nearby park and they had all the mulch just sitting in a little lot that they would use to put on the paths and just beautify the park. And so we drug the ramp over and we learned to flip into that mulch pile after we had already learned in the water. And this is where I walk the dog, this park, and I saw the pile of mulch and it looked exactly like the old pile of mulch that we used to learn flips. And I was like, what do I want to learn right now? And it's so much safer than trying it on a jump. Gosh. So as you're walking your dog or cruising around, look for piles of mulch. And if you have a portable ramp, you now have a place to learn tricks without as much risk of hurting yourself. Hello. What up? Yo.
How do you have a bike apart right now? What's happening?
That was like every sitcom ever. But then like canned laughter and hey! Yeah, so I popped the cranks off, I popped the BB shell out, I drilled a hole in the BB, I tapped the BB, and remarkably everything went as planned. This is just that bolt that you have holding on your caliper or your stem or whatever. And I've got this like, oh, I'm so glad I remembered to put that thing in. I've got this little like, it's this, one of these in there.
Oh, yeah.
So now the bolt puts pressure on that, which puts pressure on this. Then you got this nice,
grind through your spindle.
yeah, and you got this nice smooth friction device. Time to try to tail up this thing again. This is the biggest bike I've ever tried to tail up. I guess I did tail up the 29er plus stash before. That's the one I put the diaper and the duct tape on. But that was a hardtail, so that was a little bit easier. But this will just make it a little bit safer to learn to tail up in this thing. And then hopefully tail up everywhere on it. That's the plan.
Cam modifications.
Dude, this is gonna be sweet.
How much do you know to tighten?
You tighten until it does something. So like, you can still do crank flips. I'm gonna tighten until I can't do crank flips anymore. Oh yes, we are there. Okay, that's definitely enough. And I still got room to spare here. I mean, as far as sketchy stuff goes, this is perfect. You find that like nice little happy spot there. Oh, this is good. Sometimes you do it too, and it's like all inconsistent, like the way you want it to be for if you're left foot forward, you know, you want tension right there. I've done them before where it's loose right there and tension the other way, and you're just like, shoot. That's why it's important to find like the right little insert to put in there. Okay, let's put the ramp in the truck and let's rip it. So much more confidence inspiring when you're about to tail up and you know it's not gonna just be like, zzz.
Game on now. I don't even know what I'm here for. Ramp carrier?
You're gonna come ride the mulch setup.
Ramp carrier.
There we go, cool. All right, let's go. Ooh. Ooh. I got caught leaning weird. Oh, that ankle. I guess the trick is you just gotta only tail up really big jumps on really big bikes. Stop tail up in these little tiny jumps and buck up. There we go, that was better. All this complaining, it's just technique. You just gotta tail up a big bike differently than you tail up a little bike. There we go. That's what this is for. Figuring it out. That would be a good slope Duro run if you put in a good time and then tail up the trick jump. But do you tighten up your BB bolt for the tail up, or do you leave it loose for pedaling up and over rocks the entire time? I think you just try to kick that old tail up with the cranks loose and just try to trust your technique right there.